I work as a party clown in Pennsylvania. Most people laugh when I tell them that. They think it's quirky or sad or both. They make jokes about creepy clowns and Stephen King. They don't laugh when I tell them what I've seen. They don't laugh at all. My name is Danny Foster, but for the past 3 years, I've been Chuckles the Clown. I know. The name sounds ridiculous. That's the point. Kids don't want sophisticated. They want bright colors, silly voices, and someone who isn't afraid to look stupid for their entertainment. I'm good at it. Or at least, I was good at it before I learned the truth. I got into this profession because I genuinely love it. I'm not some failed actor or desperate for cash college dropout. I studied theater at Penn State, worked at children's hospitals as a volunteer, and realized that making kids laugh was the only thing that felt meaningful. When I graduated, I applied to Celebration Entertainment Services, one of the biggest party entertainment agencies in the state. They hired me within a week. The training was more professional than you'd think. We learned magic tricks, balloon artistry, face painting, crowd management, even child psychology basics. We weren't just putting on wigs and honking horns. We were trained performers bringing joy to important moments in children's lives. I took pride in that. I still do, even after everything. But on my first official day, after all the training was complete, my supervisor called me into his office. His name was Ray, a weathered man in his 60s who'd been in the business for 40 years. He'd seen it all, or so I thought. He handed me a laminated card, about the size of a driver's license. "Read this," he said. "Memorize it, follow it, always." I looked down at the card. 5 rules, printed in plain black text. Rule number 1, never accept a booking at an address that doesn't appear on GPS or Google Maps. Rule number 2, if a child asks you to stay forever or refuses to let you leave after the party ends, call the office immediately and leave without your payment. Rule number 3, never look directly into mirrors while in costume at a venue. If you must check your appearance, use your phone camera. Rule number 4, if all the children at a party go completely silent at once, pack your things and leave within 5 minutes. Rule number 5, if a parent tries to pay you in anything other than cash or check, especially old coins, jewelry, or family heirlooms, refuse politely and report it to the agency. I read through them twice, waiting for Ray to crack a smile. Some kind of hazing ritual for new performers, right? A way to mess with the rookie? "Is this a joke?" I finally asked. Ray's expression didn't change. "No." "But mirrors? Old coins? This sounds like something out of a horror movie." "It does," Ray agreed. "Follow the rules anyway." "What happens if I don't?" He was quiet for a long moment, looking at something past me, through me. Then he said, "We had 43 performers 3 years ago. We have 31 now. None of them quit." I felt cold, despite the warm office. "What do you mean they didn't quit?" "I mean, they didn't quit, Danny. They just changed. Or disappeared, or both." He stood up, signaling the conversation was over. "Follow the rules. Keep that card with you, always." I left his office with the laminated card in my pocket and a knot in my stomach. But I told myself it was corporate paranoia, liability protection. Maybe some performers had gotten into weird situations, and the agency was just being overly cautious. I laughed it off. I shouldn't have. For the first 6 months, I thought the rules were complete nonsense. My parties were normal. Birthday parties at suburban homes, park pavilions, community centers. Kids laughing at my terrible juggling. Parents snapping photos. Everyone having exactly the kind of wholesome fun you'd expect. A typical party would go like this. I'd arrive 30 minutes early to set up, check in with the parents, get a sense of the birthday child's personality, shy or outgoing, what makes them laugh. Then I'd transform into Chuckles, rainbow wig, painted smile, oversized polka dot suit. The kids would scream with excitement when I walked in. I'd do my routine. Balloon animals, I could make 37 different kinds. Magic tricks. Nothing fancy, just enough to amaze a 6-year-old. Silly songs, games. An hour would fly by. Parents would thank me, pay me cash, and I'd drive to the next booking. It was exactly what I'd dreamed of. Pure, uncomplicated joy. I worked with other performers too. There was Maria, who did princess characters. Tom, a magician who performed as the amazing Mysterio. Jen, another clown who'd been with the agency for 8 years. We'd see each other at the office, swap stories, complain about difficult parents or rowdy kids. Normal work stuff. None of them talked about the rules. Not directly. But sometimes I'd catch something in their expressions. A tightness around the eyes when someone mentioned certain neighborhoods. The way Tom would check his phone obsessively before confirming a booking. How Jen always parked facing the street, ready for a quick exit. I didn't ask. Maybe I didn't want to know. For 6 months, I was happy. I was good at my job. Kids loved Chuckles. I had a growing list of repeat clients and 5-star reviews on the agency website. My bank account was finally stable. My parents stopped asking when I'd get a real job. Everything was perfect. Then I broke rule number 3. It was a Saturday afternoon in late September when everything changed. The booking seemed perfect. A 7th birthday party for a girl named Emma in a nice neighborhood about 20 minutes from my apartment. The address popped up immediately on GPS. The parents had booked me 3 weeks in advance. Nothing unusual. I arrived at the house at 2:30, 30 minutes before showtime as always. It was a beautiful colonial-style home with a manicured lawn and a Happy Birthday Emma banner stretched across the front porch. Mrs. Peterson answered the door with a warm smile, thanking me profusely for coming. Inside, I could hear children laughing and playing. Everything was exactly as it should be. The party was in full swing by 3 o'clock. 12 kids, all around 7 years old, sat in a semicircle in the living room while I performed. They were a great audience, responsive, engaged, laughing at all my jokes. Emma, the birthday girl, had the biggest smile I'd ever seen. Her parents stood in the doorway to the kitchen, recording on their phones, beaming with pride. I was midway through my balloon animal routine when it happened. I'd just finished making a giraffe for one of the kids when I felt my wig shift slightly. It wasn't falling off, just crooked enough to be noticeable. In my peripheral vision, I could see it was tilted to the left. Without thinking, pure muscle memory from months of performances, I turned toward the hallway mirror to adjust it. My hands were already reaching for the wig when I remembered. Rule number 3. Never look directly into mirrors while in costume. But it was too late. I was already looking. For a split second, everything seemed normal. There I was, Chuckles the Clown, rainbow wig slightly askew, painted smile, polka dot suit. Just my reflection doing exactly what I was doing. Then I noticed the delay. It was subtle. Maybe half a second. When I moved my hand to adjust the wig, My reflection moved just a fraction later, like watching a video with the audio slightly out of sync. My brain tried to rationalize it, trick of the light, the angle, my imagination. But then I saw the smile. My painted smile, the one I'd carefully applied 2 hours ago, looked the same. But underneath it, behind it, my reflection's real mouth was smiling differently, wider, too wide. The corners stretched just a bit too far, revealing teeth I didn't remember showing. My stomach dropped. I couldn't look away. The reflection held my gaze, and for that frozen moment, I felt like I was looking at someone else wearing my costume, wearing my face. Then in the mirror's background, I saw a movement, a figure standing in the hallway behind me, tall, dark, indistinct. Just a silhouette, but very clearly there. I spun around. The hallway was empty. When I looked back at the mirror, everything was normal again. My reflection matched my movements perfectly. No delay, no wrong smile, no figure in the background. Just me, a clown with a crooked wig, staring at a mirror with my heart hammering in my chest. "Are you okay?" Mrs. Peterson's voice snapped me back to reality. I turned to see her watching me with concern. Behind her, the children had gone quiet, all 12 of them staring at me. Not with the playful attention from before. Something else. Something evaluating. "I'm fine," I managed, forcing Chuckles' cheerful voice. "Just fixing my wig." I adjusted it quickly, not using the mirror, and turned back to the kids, with my widest smile. "Now who wants to see me make a poodle?" A few kids raised their hands, but the energy had changed. Where before they'd been enthusiastic and loud, now they were subdued, watchful. Emma, the birthday girl, tilted her head and said, "You look different now." "Different how, sweetie?" I asked, trying to keep my voice light. "I don't know, just different." She frowned. "Your face is wrong." Mrs. Peterson laughed nervously. "Emma, that's not polite. Chuckles looks the same as when he arrived." But Emma kept staring at me, and 3 other children had joined her, their eyes fixed on my face with an intensity that made my skin crawl. I felt exposed, like they could see through the makeup and costume to something underneath. Something I couldn't see, but they could. I pushed through the rest of the performance on autopilot. The tricks felt mechanical. The jokes fell flat. Several children wouldn't look at me at all now, while others couldn't stop staring. The balloon animals came out misshapen. My hands were shaking too badly to twist them properly. When I finally finished, 45 minutes early, I packed up faster than I ever had before. Mrs. Peterson tried to insist I stay for cake, but I made up an emergency, another party running late, double booked, so sorry. She looked disappointed but understanding, pressing cash into my hand and thanking me repeatedly. As I loaded my bag into my car, I caught my reflection in the car window. For just a moment, maybe imagination, maybe not, I could have sworn my reflection smiled before I did. I drove 3 blocks before I had to pull over. My hands were shaking so badly I couldn't grip the steering wheel. I pulled out my phone and opened the camera, holding it up to look at myself. I looked normal. Makeup smudged, wig crooked, but normal. Just Danny in a costume. Nothing wrong. So why did my reflection in that mirror feel like it belonged to someone else? I sat in my car for 20 minutes before I could drive home. That night, I avoided every mirror in my apartment. I removed my makeup using my phone's front camera, never once looking at my bathroom mirror directly. And when I finally crawled into bed at midnight, I couldn't shake the feeling that somewhere, in some reflection I couldn't see, Something was smiling back. I didn't tell Ray about the mirror incident. Not right away. I convinced myself it was stress, lack of sleep, maybe a migraine aura causing visual distortions. I'd heard about those. Hallucinations that seem real but aren't. That had to be it. But I followed the rules more carefully after that. I checked addresses twice. I kept the laminated card in my pocket during every performance, and I never ever looked at mirrors while in costume. If I needed to adjust something, I used my phone camera, just like rule number 3 said. 2 weeks passed. 10 more parties, all completely normal. Kids laughed. Parents paid in cash. I drove home without incident. The memory of that wrong reflection started to fade, becoming dreamlike and unreal. Maybe it had been my imagination after all. Then came the Harrington party. The booking arrived on a Wednesday for the following Saturday, a 6th birthday party in Meadowbrook, an upscale neighborhood I'd worked in before. 15 kids expected, 2-hour performance requested, good pay. The address came up immediately on all 3 map services I now obsessively checked. Mrs. Harrington sounded warm and normal on the confirmation call. Everything checked out. But I was nervous anyway. Saturday arrived cold and gray, autumn asserting itself with early November wind. I arrived at the Harrington house at exactly 1:30. It was a large Tudor-style home with a circular driveway and professionally decorated Halloween remnants still visible, tasteful cobwebs and pumpkins. I parked facing the street, nose pointed toward the exit, just in case. Mrs. Harrington answered the door immediately, all smiles and gratitude. "Oh, Chuckles, the kids are so excited. Come in, come in." Inside, the house was warm, bright, and filled with the sound of children playing. I could smell pizza and birthday cake. A banner reading "Happy 6th Birthday, Tyler" hung across the living room entrance. Normal. Completely, utterly normal. I set up quickly in their spacious living room, arranging my props while kids streamed in from the playroom. 15 children, just as promised, ranging in age from about 4 to 8 years old. Tyler, the birthday boy, wore a superhero cape and wouldn't stop bouncing with excitement. The show started at 2 o'clock sharp. The kids were a dream audience, engaged, enthusiastic, responding to every joke and trick. I made balloon swords that they dueled with, performed my disappearing coin routine, sang a silly song about a clown who lost his nose. They loved it all. Parents stood at the edges of the room, filming and photographing. Mr. and Mrs. Harrington beamed with pride. Everything was exactly as a children's birthday party should be. I was 1 hour into my 2-hour show, right in the middle of my juggling routine. I had 3 rainbow scarves in the air, the kids counting along. 1, 2, 3, when it happened. The counting stopped. Not gradually, not a few kids trailing off while others continued. Every single child stopped making sound at exactly the same instant. 15 children. Complete silence. The scarves fell from my hands, forgotten. The kids weren't just quiet, they were frozen. Mid-laugh, mid-cheer, mid-movement. Like someone had hit a pause button on reality. Some had mouths hanging open, others were caught mid-clap. But all of them, every single one, stared directly at me, not blinking. The air changed. It felt heavy, thick, like the atmosphere before a thunderstorm. The temperature seemed to drop 5 degrees in an instant. The happy birthday music still played from a speaker somewhere, absurdly cheerful against the sudden wrongness of the room. I looked toward the parents. They were still chatting normally in the kitchen doorway, completely oblivious. Mrs. Harrington laughed at something her husband said. Another mother sipped from a wine glass. They couldn't see what I was seeing. Rule number 4 flashed through my mind in bright red letters. If all the children at a party go completely silent at once, pack your things and leave within 5 minutes. My watch read 3:04 p.m. Tyler, the birthday boy, stood closest to me. His mouth was frozen in a smile, but his eyes were wrong. Too dark, too knowing. His head began to turn slowly, tracking my movement as I took a step backward. Then, one by one, the other children's heads started turning too. Mechanical, synchronized, all following me with those wrong eyes. I grabbed my prop bag, hands shaking. "I'm so sorry," I said, voice cracking. "I just remembered I have an emergency." None of the children reacted. They just stared, heads turned at impossible angles now, still completely silent. Mrs. Harrington walked over, confused. "Is everything all right? We're only an hour in." "Family emergency," I lied, shoving props into my bag without organizing them. "I have to go. I'm so sorry." "But Tyler's cake." "I'll refund the full amount." My watch read 3:06. 2 minutes since the silence started. Mr. Harrington approached, frowning. "This is completely unprofessional. We have 15 kids here expecting—" "I know. I'm sorry. I have to leave." I zipped my bag, moving toward the door. The children still hadn't moved. Still hadn't made a sound. Still staring with those wrong eyes. 3:07 p.m. "Let me at least get your contact information for the refund," Mrs. Harrington said, blocking my path to the door. "I'll call the agency tomorrow. They'll handle it." I stepped around her. Mr. Harrington grabbed my arm. "You're not leaving until we—" I pulled free, harder than I meant to. "I'm leaving, now." 3:08 p.m. 4 minutes. I reached the door, fumbled with the handle, got it open. As I stepped onto the porch, I heard it, or rather, I didn't hear it. The music from inside cut off. The parents' voices stopped mid-sentence, and then, from inside the house, I heard all 15 children begin to laugh. Not normal laughter, synchronized, identical. The same laugh from 15 throats at exactly the same time. I ran to my car, threw my bag in the back seat, and drove. I didn't look back. I didn't slow down. My watch read 3:09 p.m. when I turned onto the main road. 1 minute to spare. I pulled into a gas station 3 miles away and called Ray with shaking hands. "What happened?" he answered, recognizing my number. "Rule number 4, I gasped. All the kids went silent. I left." There was a long pause. "What address?" I told him. I heard typing, then a sharp intake of breath. "You did exactly right," Ray said quietly. "Don't go back. Don't answer if they call. We'll handle the refund and explanation." "What would have happened if I'd stayed past 5 minutes?" "We don't know. No one who stayed has reported back." My blood turned to ice. "What do you mean, no one?" "I mean, we've lost 3 performers to rule number 4 violations over the years. They stayed. They didn't come back. Or if they did—" He trailed off. "If they did what?" "Let's just say you did the right thing. Go home. Take tomorrow off. We'll talk Monday." He hung up. I sat in that gas station parking lot for 30 minutes before I could drive home. A week later, I heard through another performer that the Harrington family had reported an incident at their home that same evening. Details were vague. Something about Tyler acting strangely, speaking in voices that weren't his own. An ambulance had been called. The family moved out of that house within a month. I never learned what happened after I left, and I never wanted to. After the Harrington incident, I didn't work for 2 weeks. Ray gave me the time off without question. Paid. Take care of yourself, he said. We need you sharp. I spent those 2 weeks questioning everything. Should I quit? Find a normal job? But every time I thought about leaving, I remembered the joy on children's faces during normal parties, the real laughter, the innocent happiness. That was still real. That still mattered. I came back, but I was different. Hyper-vigilant. I turned down bookings that gave me even the slightest bad feeling. I researched every address obsessively. I kept my phone charged, my car gassed up, my escape routes planned. For 3 months, everything was fine. 27 parties, all completely normal. I started to relax again. Started to think maybe the worst was behind me. Then I got the Whitmore booking. It came through the system on a Tuesday afternoon in late February. Birthday party for a girl named Sarah, turning 8. Address in rural Pennsylvania, about 45 minutes from my usual territory. The pay was good, double my normal rate for the distance. I input the address into Google Maps. It loaded slowly, then found the location. But something was off. The map showed the house in a strange blank area with no surrounding streets clearly visible. I tried Apple Maps, same thing. Waze took 3 tries before it finally located it. Rule number 1 whispered in my mind: never accept a booking at an address that doesn't appear on GPS or Google Maps. But it did appear. Eventually, it was just difficult to find. That wasn't the same as not appearing, right? I should have trusted my gut. I should have declined. But I needed the money. My rent was due. My car needed repairs. I convinced myself it was fine. Just a rural area with outdated mapping data. I accepted the booking. Saturday arrived gray and cold, winter refusing to loosen its grip. I left at noon for the 1 p.m. party, GPS on my phone, and a backup navigation device running. Both struggled with the route, constantly recalculating, but eventually guided me down increasingly rural roads. The house appeared suddenly after a turn onto an unmarked dirt road. A Victorian-style home, 3 stories tall, paint peeling, shutters hanging crooked. It looked abandoned, but there were balloons tied to the porch railing, faded, deflating, like they'd been there for days. Every instinct screamed at me to turn around. But I'd driven 45 minutes. I was expected. I was being paid double. I parked facing the road, driver's door pointed toward escape, and grabbed my prop bag. The woman who answered the door was thin, pale, with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "You must be Chuckles," she said in a flat, effectless voice. "Come in." The inside was cleaner than the exterior suggested, but it felt wrong. Too cold, despite a fire burning in the fireplace. Too dark, despite afternoon light coming through windows. Too many mirrors lining the hallway. I kept my eyes down as I passed them. "The children are waiting," the woman said, leading me to a living room. 4 girls sat perfectly still on a worn velvet couch. Ages uncertain, maybe 6 to 10, though something about them made it hard to tell. They wore matching white dresses that looked decades old. They didn't move when I entered, didn't smile, just watched with dark, unblinking eyes. "Hello," I said in my brightest Chuckles voice. "Are we ready for a party?" No response, not even a blink. A man appeared in the doorway, tall, gaunt, same flat expression as the woman. "This is my husband," the woman said, though she hadn't introduced herself. "We're Sarah's parents." Which one was Sarah? They hadn't indicated. "Great," I said, setting down my bag. Let's get started. The show was a nightmare from the beginning. I performed my tricks, made balloon animals, told jokes. The 4 girls watched silently, never laughing, never reacting. The parents stood in the doorway like sentinels, just staring. 30 minutes in, I was sweating despite the cold. This was wrong, all wrong. But I pushed through, trying to fulfill the booking, trying to earn my pay. Then one of the girls spoke. "Can you stay forever?" I froze, balloon half inflated in my hands. Rule number 2 blazed in my mind. "Oh, well, I have another party after this," I said, forcing a laugh. "But we'll have fun while I'm here." The girl's expression didn't change. "Can you stay forever?" Same words, same flat tone like a recording. "Let's make you a balloon dog," I said, ignoring the question, my heart hammering. I finished the set quickly, cutting 15 minutes off my routine. "Well, that's all for today," I announced, packing up. "Happy birthday, Sarah." None of the girls reacted to the name. The man stepped forward, pulling something from his pocket. Not a wallet. A small velvet pouch. He opened it, extracting an ornate silver locket on a tarnished chain. "Your payment," he said, holding it out. Rule number 5. Never accept payment in anything other than cash or check, especially old jewelry. "I'm sorry, I can only accept cash or check," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Company policy." His eyes darkened. "This is worth more than your fee." "I understand, but I really do need cash or check. I can wait while you—" "Take it." His voice went cold. "I can't. I'm sorry." I zipped my bag, moving toward the door. The woman blocked my path. "You haven't had cake yet." "I really need to go. Another booking, you understand." Behind me, I heard it, all 4 girls standing up simultaneously, their footsteps perfectly synchronized. And then, silence. Complete silence. Rule number 4. My watch read 1:47 p.m. I turned. The 4 girls stood in a line, blocking the route to my prop bag, all staring, all silent. The temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees in an instant. "I'm leaving now," I said firmly. As I turned toward the hallway, I caught my reflection in one of the many mirrors. Rule number 3. Never look in mirrors while in costume. But I'd already looked. The reflection was wrong, completely horrifyingly wrong. The face under my makeup wasn't mine. It was decayed, rotting, grinning with too many teeth. The eyes were black pits. Behind my reflection, the 4 girls looked different. Older, wrong, their faces twisted. And behind them, dozens of other figures, other performers, other clowns, magicians, princesses, all wearing costumes, all with those rotted faces, all grinning. One of the girls spoke, a voice layered like multiple people speaking at once. "He doesn't want to leave." Another, "The other one didn't either." The third, "The other one stayed." The fourth, "He'll wear your face soon." I tore my eyes from the mirror and ran, straight past the woman, past the man who reached for me with fingers too long and too cold. I felt them brush my arm, ice burning my skin. I hit the front door, fumbled with the lock. Why was it locked from inside? Finally got it open. As I burst through, the man's voice followed. "Give it a few days. He'll settle in. Then you won't know the difference." I ran to my car, threw myself inside, started the engine. In my rear view mirror, all 6 figures stood on the porch, watching. Not moving, just watching. I drove without GPS, following instinct and road signs until I recognized where I was. My phone wouldn't work for the first 20 minutes, no signal, though I was passing through areas I knew had coverage. When I finally got signal, I called Ray. "Emergency," I gasped. "I need to come in, now." "What address were you at?" His voice was sharp with urgency. I told him. I heard typing, then whispered cursing. That address was blacklisted 3 years ago, Ray said. How did you get that booking? It came through the system normally. I checked. Come to the office immediately. Don't go home first. Straight here. Why can't I go? Because we need to make sure you're still you, Ray said quietly. Just come straight here, please. He hung up. I looked in my rearview mirror at myself. Same face, same makeup, same Danny. But the man's words echoed. Give it a few days. I drove to the office with my hands shaking and my mind racing, terrified of what they'd find when they looked at me, terrified that I might already be wearing someone else's face. Ray was waiting in the parking lot when I arrived. He wasn't alone. 2 other people stood with him, Jen, the veteran clown I'd met during training, and an older man I didn't recognize. They watched me approach with expressions I couldn't read. Concern, fear, evaluation. Danny, Ray said carefully, how do you feel? Terrified, I answered honestly, well, what's happening to me? The older man stepped forward. His name tag read Marcus, and I felt my stomach drop. Marcus, the performer who'd gone to that house 3 years ago, the one who came back different. But he was here, standing in front of me, looking normal. I'm Marcus, he confirmed, seeing my recognition. I know what you're thinking. Yes, I went to that house. Yes, something happened. And yes, I'm still here. He paused. Mostly, I whispered. Let's go inside, Ray said. We gathered in the conference room, just the 4 of us. Ray locked the door. Marcus sat across from me, studying my face with an intensity that made my skin crawl. You look like you, he finally said. That's good. When I came back, I didn't, not right away. What does that mean? I asked. Jen spoke up, her voice gentle. The places we warn you about, they're not normal, Danny. They've always existed alongside the real world. They need performers. People who bring joy, they feed on it, or maybe they need it to exist. We don't fully understand. But they can't just take us, Marcus continued. There are rules, natural laws maybe. They need us to choose to stay or to break enough of their laws that we forfeit our protection. The 5 rules, I breathed. Exactly, Ray said. Each rule exists because someone learned the hard way what happens when you break it. Marcus leaned forward. Rule number 1, addresses that don't exist. Those places aren't fully real. They're in between. If you go there, you're entering their territory voluntarily. That gives them power over you. Rule number 2, Jen added, when they ask you to stay forever, they're testing. If you agree, even casually, you've given consent. They can keep you then. Rule number 3. Marcus touched his face unconsciously. Mirrors show what's really there. When you look while in costume, while you're performing as someone else, you're vulnerable. They can see the gap between who you are and who you're pretending to be. They can slip into that gap. I thought of my reflection with the wrong smile, the rotting face underneath. Rule number 4, Ray continued. The silence, that's them deciding. When all the children go quiet at once, it's because something else is controlling them, using them to evaluate you. You have 5 minutes before they make their choice about whether to take you. And rule number 5? I asked. Hold payment, Marcus said darkly. Coins, jewelry, heirlooms, they're contracts. Physical objects that bind you to that place, to that family, to them. If you accept, you're agreeing to return, to stay, eventually permanently. The room was quiet for a moment. Then I asked the question that terrified me most. Did something get in? Am I still me? Marcus stood and walked around the table. He looked into my eyes, tilted my head left and right, studied my face in the fluorescent light. "You're still you," he said finally. "But you were exposed. You'll feel it different for a while. Wrong in your own skin. Like something is watching from behind your eyes. That feeling will fade. Mostly. It never fully goes away," he admitted. "I still can't look in mirrors without checking twice. Still feel like something is waiting behind my reflection. But I'm here. I'm still Marcus. I still perform. You learn to live with it." Over the following weeks, I learned he was right. The acute terror faded, but the wrongness remained. I'd catch my reflection and just for a split second, see something else. Feel something else, wearing my face like a mask. Then I'd blink, and it would be gone. I couldn't sleep without checking every mirror in my apartment, making sure nothing stared back that shouldn't. I developed rituals, checking my phone camera before looking at any reflection, comparing my current face to photographs from before, counting my teeth to make sure I had the right number. My friends noticed the change. "You seem different," they'd say. I'd laugh it off, but inside, panic would spike. Different how? Could they see something I couldn't? The joy of performing was forever altered. I still loved making children laugh, still felt that pure happiness when a party went well. But I was always watching now, always evaluating, looking for signs that something was wrong, that I'd stumbled into another one of those places. Most parties were fine. Normal families, normal houses, normal joy. But maybe 1 in 20 would have something off about it. An address that took too long to load. A child who stared too long. A mirror positioned oddly. And I'd feel that spike of adrenaline, that voice screaming to run. Sometimes I listened to that voice. I'd make excuses, leave early, refund the money. The agency never questioned me anymore. Ray had flagged my account. Trust Danny's instincts. If he wants to leave, let him. I became hypervigilant. I researched every booking obsessively, cross-referenced addresses with old police reports and news articles, looking for patterns. I kept detailed notes on every party, documenting anything unusual, building my own database of warning signs. Other performers started coming to me for advice. "This address feels wrong," they'd say. "Should I take it?" And I'd help them check, teach them what to look for, share the hard-won knowledge that had nearly cost me everything. We were a community now, those of us who knew. We watched out for each other. We shared information. We kept each other safe. But we all knew the truth. The rules could only protect us so far. Those places were still out there, still sending bookings through, still waiting for someone to make a mistake, and sometimes late at night I'd wonder if they'd already won. If the Danny who drove away from that Victorian house was the same Danny who arrived, or if something had slipped in during those moments I'd looked in the mirror and I just hadn't realized it yet. "Give it a few days," the man had said. It had been months now. I was still here, still me. I thought I was. I hoped I was. 6 months have passed since that Victorian house. I'm still performing, still Chuckles the Clown, still bringing joy to children's parties most of the time. But something happened last week that reminded me the threat never really goes away. A booking came through for a party in Greenfield. a neighborhood I'd worked before. The address loaded fine on all my map services. The parents sounded normal on the phone, warm, enthusiastic, planning their son's 5th birthday. Everything checked out. But the night before the party, I had a dream. I was standing in a house I'd never seen before, surrounded by silent children with wrong eyes. And in the dream, I looked in a mirror and saw my face rotting away piece by piece. I woke up at 3 a.m. in a cold sweat. The next morning, I checked the address again. This time, I went deeper. Property records, street view images, news archives, and I found it. A small article from 8 years ago. A child had gone missing from that house during a birthday party. The performer, a magician, had left suddenly, claiming a family emergency. The child was never found. I called Ray. "I can't take this booking." "Trust your instincts," he said immediately. "We'll reassign it." They gave it to Sarah, the newer performer I'd mentioned before, the one who'd had her own close call months ago. She'd been cleared, deemed safe, allowed to return to work. She insisted she was fine. Ready. She took the Greenfield party. I tried to warn her, sent her a message about the property history, the dream, my bad feeling. She responded, "Thanks for looking out, but I need the work. I'll be careful." The party was Saturday afternoon. By Saturday evening, Sarah wasn't answering her phone. Sunday morning, her roommate called the agency. Sarah had come home from the party and gone straight to her room. She wouldn't come out, wouldn't speak, just sat in front of her mirror, staring at her reflection for hours. When the roommate finally forced the door open, Sarah turned to her and smiled. "I'm fine," she said, but her roommate swore Sarah's voice sounded wrong. Her smile looked wrong, like someone doing a bad impression of Sarah. Sarah quit the agency 2 days later, left a voice message, flat, emotionless. "I'm pursuing other opportunities." I've tried calling her. Her number's disconnected. We're down to 29 performers now. I keep working because I don't know what else to do. Because somewhere between the fear and the rules and the constant vigilance, there's still real joy. Real children with real laughter. Innocent parties where nothing goes wrong and everyone goes home happy. Those moments still matter. They have to matter. Because if I stop believing in them, then those places have won completely. But I'm different now. Forever changed. I see threats where others see normalcy. I carry my fear like a second skin, and every time I look in a mirror, even now, even at home, I check twice to make sure I'm alone in the reflection. If you work in entertainment, especially children's parties, performers, magicians, photographers, face painters, anyone, listen to me. There are places out there that aren't quite real. There are things that want what you have. Your joy, your face, your life. Pay attention to the red flags. Trust your instincts when something feels wrong. Don't dismiss that voice in your head screaming danger. And if you're ever given rules, no matter how strange they seem, follow them, always. The rules exist for a reason. They're written in the disappeared, the changed, the ones who came back wrong. Don't add your name to that list. I'm still Chuckles. Still Danny, still me. Last night I was driving home after a perfectly normal party. A 6-year-old's birthday, suburban house, 15 happy kids. Everything went right. I was smiling, genuinely content for the first time in months. I stopped at a red light and glanced at my rearview mirror. My reflection smiled back. But I'd already stopped smiling, just for a second. Maybe a trick of the streetlight, maybe shadows from passing cars, I checked my phone camera immediately. I looked normal, tired but normal. Just Danny in smudged clown makeup. But I felt it. That presence, that wrongness from the Victorian house, all those months ago, it never left. Not really. It's been waiting. The rules keep me safe. The rules keep me human. The rules keep me. I think they do. I hope they do. Check on me in a few months. Make sure I still sound like myself. Make sure my smile reaches my eyes. Make sure when you see my reflection, it moves exactly when I move, because I'm not sure anymore. And that terrifies me most of all.